Hey.
All right, we are live here across Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, X, and Instagram, possibly. Although I think the titles aren't coming over on Instagram right now because you have to do something different in the title. So anyway, today we're talking about the live stream is about the wild ride of entrepreneurship, and we're talking about something that nobody is immune to, and that is dealing with change. And it's where the chaos meets wisdom. So I'm Jeremy Torisk.
And I'm Christy Torisk. And if there's one thing we've learned from talking to all the amazing people in our lives, it's that being an entrepreneur is no joke.
That's right. From the highs of success to the gut-wrenching lows of setbacks, it's a journey filled with twists, turns, and challenges that can knock you on your backside. But remember what the great Les Brown says on the matter. If you can get up, if you can see up, you can get up.
And a setback is just a setup for a comeback.
That's right. Today we're talking about crucial stuff. It's the changes that can either make or break you. And we're talking about in your business or your life. The entrepreneur journey is filled with highs and lows, and we're facing challenges and overcoming obstacles. They're inevitable.
Yes, yes. So let's talk about resilience.
Well, we're talking about all these other things from changes in technology, inflation, staffing.
Yeah.
Like
as minimum wage
minimum
increases.
That's right. Also working from home versus the office argument.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
You know, and then learning things like how to responsibly integrate AI.
Yes.
And so these are all changes that every single person is dealing with if they're in a business. So the first one, let's go ahead and share the screen here. And we have how to deal with change.
Yes.
The first one will be, as you gave it away,
Sorry.
resilience.
Yes. So resilience helps enable entrepreneurs to bounce back from letdowns, and it allows you to stay focused and keep chasing those dreams.
That's right.
You definitely have to build your resilience muscles.
Yeah. That's kind of like building your calluses.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So we have, here's how, we have the ways that we've dealt with building resilience in our lives. So the first one we're talking about is mindset and self-care. So what are we talking about? We're talking about mindset and self-care. What does that mean to you?
So mindset is just trying to stay positive.
Yeah.
And take like a proactive approach. Instead of waiting for the problem, if you can see a problem, start taking steps.
Yeah.
To avoid that problem.
That's right.
Or,
well, also
lessen the problem.
With mindfulness, we're talking about self-care.
Yes.
Is being healthy too.
Yeah.
Just being ready.
Yeah, you have to keep your body strong as well with your mind.
Yeah, because what happens a lot of times is your stress level is pretty much tied to your health.
Yeah.
And how you process stress
yes.
has a lot to do with how you're able to deal with stress. Because if your blood pressure's high, first of all, you're not going to deal with anything good. Nothing good's going to come out with. So having these looked at on a quarterly basis or every 6 months, having your blood pressure looked at and understanding what that looks like. Let me go back here because this works best for like the shorts and the reels and everything. So, but I had to see if somebody wanted to join us, they could click that Zoom link that's in the body there, and they could join us on the discussion.
How do you deal with stress?
Me, I yell a lot.
You do.
I do. I yell, but I get it out of my system and I address it immediately. I don't really let stress build up. I pretty much address it immediately. I'm harder on myself than I am on the people in my life, but I yell. But I don't yell insulting, hurling insults. I just say what's wrong really loud and forcefully, and then I get by it. I get on with it.
Yeah, then you're over it.
Yeah. How about yourself?
I think I look at things pretty analytical. So if it's something that doesn't have a solution or I don't know what the solution is, I seek that out.
Yeah.
And if I'm very confused, that's when I get upset. But otherwise, everything typically has a solution.
Yep.
So I try not to let it affect me. Just go straight to the solution.
When that comes down to your mindset,
Yes.
so we talk about mindfulness and self-care, then the next thing is your mindset, and that is how you're looking at the problem. Is it happening to me or is it happening for me?
Yeah.
You know.
You can only control so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
you're
like
right.
the thing where it talks about you ask God for patience and he gives you problems to solve, or he gives you people in your life to love that test that patience. He asks for intelligence, he gives you problems to solve. You ask for courage, he gives you dangerous situations to overcome. So
be careful what you ask for.
that's right, because you might just get it, and that, but that is that mindset of how these things are coming
But I
about.
think, your mind and your body's all connected. So if you don't feel good, it's very hard to have a positive outlook or positive mindset. So definitely taking care of yourself, making sure you're eating right, taking your vitamins, exercising, all plays into that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So what we do, we've been walking three times a week. We walk around 5 miles in the neighborhood.
3 to 5 miles.
To the beach and back, and then 3 days a week. We tried 3, so typically it's 2 though. We're in the gym. Literally, we have a home gym that we're in, and we're doing
weights or some sort
yoga,
of resistance training, something.
Usually that kind of stuff.
I also like yoga. Yoga's.
I like watching yoga too. Yeah. I like
But
the
yoga,
easy yoga.
for me, is a very big stress reliever because you have to focus for the entire time. And you can't, if you think of other things, it's not going to go well.
So then the last thing that we have on here is just on when you do get stressed is how to manage it. This technique, I yell. Like I said, I yell. That's my technique. It's worked for me. It's not the healthiest. There's probably better ways, but I kind of just have a short fuse where I just kind of short. I maybe even if I don't yell, I'm very direct. I deal with problems very, very directly. And
in a loud manner.
Yeah, right. a boisterous manner. But again, it's usually with most just the words, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying the words loud.
Yeah, out of frustration. Yeah.
And then the last thing is taking care of people in our world. We've got to take care of ourselves.
Yes. Yeah,
right?
We do. Yeah. So I think also surrounding yourself with people that have or that are trying to have a positive mindset and trying to have a healthier outlook and almost like a support system is kind of key.
That's right. So that
you
leads
need to
us
have a good group around you.
to number 2, and that's adaptability.
Aha. I'm giving away all the...
Adaptability. Well, that's number 2.
Okay.
I mean, it's the name of the game in today's fast-paced business world. We're riding waves of mindset, embracing technology, and dealing with curveballs. You've got to be flexible.
Yeah, it was a pivot a few years ago. Now it's adaptability.
Yeah, exactly. It's just keywords. Right? It's just different keywords. So the first one is to be adaptable is continuous learning, developing skills because
you got to stay
everything's
ahead of it.
changing. Whether we want it to, whether we like it to, it is changing. Hell, even if you go into the grocery store, how many people are get nervous when they see they have to do self-checkout? You know?
Yeah, it's everything's always changing. That's like the book Who Moved My Cheese? That's a good one.
It's a little easy one to read too.
Yes, it is. It's a very good book. It's good for like younger people too, I think.
But also, you don't have to even leave your house anymore.
Yeah, in some cases.
Just continue. There's learning online. There's online courses.
Yeah, the good thing is that if you want to learn something, there's all kinds of available resources that you can at least try first.
Yeah.
That are free or low cost.
That's right.
And you don't have to leave your house.
Yeah, so you can take all this continuous learning is there. The next one is flexible approach to business strategies, having multiple strategies. Right? Tactics are the things that you do, and strategies are how you're going to go about doing them. It's the plans. Yeah. So your strategies, if you're stuck with one mindset of, this is how it works, especially if it's old, You know, this is how it's always worked. This is how I want it to work. That's not going to fly if you're trying to be, or you need to be adapting. You know, it's okay to try new things. It's okay to use the foundations of the old things. That's, you know, always been there in the bedrock, but you've got to try a new twist to the old stuff, because otherwise you're going to be behind. You're going to fall behind.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with technology, right? It's difficult if you don't understand it or you don't know how to use it. But once you know how to use it, it makes your life so much easier.
Yeah.
So I get the people, you know, resist change.
Yeah. So one thing about change is, as you're implementing change, is to seek feedback, right, from people that you trust, people that's already. Also, look to what people
that are
doing
it
yeah.
already successfully.
Yeah,
right, that will help
market
you or
feedback, trends, emergent trends, market trends.
Yeah.
You know, these diets that come and go. I think eat less, move more is what always worked for me. Whether you call it intermittent fasting is a diet, it's just a way of life. But you know, there's always new things coming out, and to get feedback and try it, see if it works, see if it's something that's sustainable.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing that
yes.
you know. How long is it sustainable for? Till the next change.
Yeah, right.
So the last one is for this for adaptability is really leading into the innovation. AI, for example, is just so present. There's responsible ways to integrate it. There's easy ways to integrate it. There's
useful ways.
Exactly. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Very time-saving, specific feedback, and especially for today's show, I wrote like 3 times to help me write the introduction to the show, and I didn't like any of them. And then I write an introduction in the voice of Joe Rogan about paste copy. And
yeah, you have to be very specific, I think, with ChatGPT.
It gave me a much different introduction that was just more down to the way we talk.
Yes.
Instead of, hey, ladies and gentlemen, into the words they use, chat out of the box is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But,
well, I think taking whatever ChatGPT or AI tells you, you can't really take it verbatim.
No.
You have to get maybe the ideas, the concept from there if you're using that or integrating it, and make it your own.
Yeah, it's like driving somewhere. I mean, the signs are going to tell you where to go, but you're still driving. You still have to drive, still got to do the speed limit, you still got to make the lefts and the rights, you still got to follow it. But they're big, huge signs with lights, and it's so much easier to get to your destination with these big flashing signs rather than the first time I ever drove in Delaware. It was a really big shock, especially in the snow when it started snowing one night. All right, I can't see anything because I'm not used to driving in freaking corn country and it's pitch black. And now there's things coming at me. It looks like I'm running warp speed on Star Wars, even though I'm doing 8 miles an hour. And I was just lost, even though it's the road I'd been on for the last 3 months of my life. So when you go into ChatGPT and you put the thing in, now you got lights and you got directions, you got arrows, and you got plain English telling you exactly where to go, but you're still driving. So it's up to you to make it in your language, use the words that your audience want to hear and will respond to.
Yeah.
If I read it like the first time this thing kicked me out, nobody would respond to it. Nobody listens to us, talks the way this thing. I don't know if it's like 3rd century England or something. It's really dumb.
Yeah. It's useful for,
for
rewriting things or giving you ideas. Like
That's where we came up with this today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right there.
Yeah.
But it's like, these 10 things, this 4th one looked good. Let's expand on it. We probably put between the 2 of us, probably 8 different things we put into Chat GPT just to get us to where we are here. And all right, so let's get on with the show. And we are going to the last one is how to deal with change. And that is, oh boy, it is touchy. Oh, you know why? Problem solving.
Problem solving.
Yes, like the problem I'm having now with my keyboard.
Yeah.
Look at this. It doesn't like it. it's doing everything by itself. So we're just going to the end and leave it there. How
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah,
So
just-
problem solving.
It's a good solution.
Number 3,
Yeah.
problem solving. Being flexible and adaptability, right, is learning how to deal with them. So teaching a structured problem solving approach is like plan, do, check, act. Plan, do, check, act. And it's
Okay.
about rinsing and repeating. Make the plan, do the plan,
See if it's working.
see if it's working, and then act accordingly.
Yeah.
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 And so it's a cycle. That's a problem-solving framework.
Yes.
And so the first thing that my favorite thing to do, and you wouldn't think of this because I don't like groups of people, like large groups of people, but I love collaboration, working
Okay.
with the people I admire and trust. So one thing about problem solving is taking your problem and then working that problem with other people who might be experiencing the
Yes.
same problem.
Yes. Yeah, or people that have the skills to help you assess the problem
Yeah.
and possibly have some solutions for you. because
Yeah,
they
you might
have
not even be,
experience
the
or-
problem that you're trying to solve
Yeah.
might just be a symptom and not a problem.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because then you're just always chasing your tail, trying
Yeah.
to solve the next symptom when the real problem is a larger issue.
Yeah, if you keep having the same problem over and over,
Yeah.
might be
Yeah,
with
back
you.
in the old days in cable, they taught us divide and conquer. So
Mm-hmm.
from the plant all the way to the last home on the plant, there's a series of pieces of equipment. And let's say there's 10 spans, which is hundreds of them, but let's say there's 10 of them. You could go to the last one and the person's cable not working, and you could see, oh, the fuse is blown. So you put a new fuse in. And then you leave, and guess what? The fuse blows again. Then you leave and come back, and then you put a fuse blows. And you go, well, the fuse keeps blowing. Well, there's
but
something
why
else
does
wrong.
it keep blowing? Right.
So then what you could do is go back to the next one and go, okay, that fuse isn't blown, but the last one is, but that's because there's something called load that happens further out you get. So then you go, well, this is fine, so the problem must be something between here and here, but that's not necessarily the case. So the better thing to do is to go halfway in between the plant and the home and do some tests. You might do a volt-ohm test or a continuity test and look at the load there and go, wow, it's pretty heavy here, heavier than it should be. Now I know the problem is halfway between where I am and the plant, and so everything else between where I am and the house, I can forget. I don't have to go to all of those devices. I can now go halfway between where I am and the plant, and I can go, okay, the load here is fine. So now it's between these 3 spans.
Right.
And then now I can start looking, and I see something penetrating the cable, touching the sheath, and that's causing the draw to spike, and just enough to where it only affects the last house. But now that saved me from checking hundreds of spans to find that one little penetration. So
Right. Didn't we do something like that in Tony Robbins in Business
I'm
Mastery?
sure we did.
Where we went through like a scenario and broke down every little tiny piece.
Yeah.
And then tried to figure out how to make it better or solve the problem
yeah,
to assess the issue,
yeah.
right? So sometimes it takes going through every single little
Right, that's
thing.
kind of like the opposite of what I'm saying. This is conquer and divide to figure out the problem, but once you figure out the problem, now you can go through, how am I going to avoid this in the future? Here's 18 things I can do, and let's
Let's
one
try
of the
'em.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's which one are they economical? Do they make sense? Is it time efficient?
Right.
You can throw a harpoon at a net.
Well, I think too, being an entrepreneur, essentially you're typically by yourself, or you have a small group of people if you're a small business. So looking outside of yourself
Yeah, it's hard to do.
to someone that might have more experience than you or could offer some solutions
Yeah.
might just be the solution that you need.
You need to, yeah. That's one of the hardest things
Yeah.
is figuring out.
Right. Because you don't have all the answers.
I don't know what I don't know.
Everybody doesn't have
Yeah.
all the answers to everything. So
Yeah, I
I
was
think
writing
that's
something.
where like coaching could come in, and especially like on a fractional type
Yes.
basis, right? Where it's like, okay, I have this specific problem. I need someone with some experience or help
Right, especially if it's on-demand coaching. It's a problem that's
Right.
always coming up because of it's an employee situation. It's a conflict resolution, and
Or
it's-
even just a different way of looking at the
Yeah.
situation. Different, because you don't know you're not looking at it that way because you're the only one looking at it.
Yeah. How many times have you put something in Facebook and then you knew who was going to respond because you knew that they had tacit knowledge in what you're
Yeah.
talking about. You knew they were going to respond with their perspective.
Yeah.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
And having those people available to you are important.
Yeah, and that goes back to surrounding yourself with people of
yeah.
the mindset that you're aiming for. Right?
Yeah, and
Or
having
that you want.
Having analytical thinking
Yes.
and thinking.
Yeah.
They used to call it thinking outside the box, or what we talked about when
Yeah.
we first signed on here.
Yeah. And if you're the person that could help somebody else too.
Then it becomes a thing about how do I tell somebody advice?
Well, if they're calling you,
Well, even
asking you the question.
even
that's
if they're
different.
calling asking questions, most people have the habit of saying, "This is what you should do." Right? This is what you have to do. And a lot of my gurus that I'm around these days have great advice for that. They say, instead of saying that, say, "Here's what's worked for me.
Right.
When I was in
Yeah,
that
you share your
situation,
experience.
this worked for me. Maybe it just might work for you." And as soon as you start saying you need to do this, you should do that, you have to do this, even if they're asking you, they're gonna
Yeah.
kind of glaze over. Go, okay,
Yeah.
all right,
There's
boomer.
a way of saying it
Yeah,
so that, it's helpful and it becomes your own idea.
right. It is true. That's the other
Yeah.
thing. So I was talking about Joe Gandara there and the Brotherhood in my experience worked with this. Now we're talking about making it their idea. Now that's a Ray Leone issue with asking smarter questions. So instead of saying, "Well, this is what happened when I had that problem," what Ray would do is he would say, "Well, tell me about this. Let's go back. How did it start? What?" And then that person will walk you through and they go, "Oh, wow, you know what? I just realized something. Talking to you about it made me think that I forgot to do this step." And that's
Yeah.
Ray has a way of asking smarter questions. And Joel will tell you, "Well, you've given me this." And I'm sure they both do both. I'm just telling you who
Yeah.
I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about those two things.
Yeah.
The first person that comes to mind are those two, and those two great ways to communicate back to someone, especially when they're asking you for advice.
Yeah. Yeah. And that could happen at any point, even if you're a very successful person, right?
Yes.
Because different situations come up that maybe you're not sure how to handle it or you've never experienced it before. I mean, that happens in real estate all the time because every property is different and there's 1,000 things that could happen, might happen, do happen
Yes.
with each transaction. So we also help each other as agents. But then if I can't find anybody to help me, I'm reaching out to someone higher.
Yes.
And potentially even hiring someone to help me.
Absolutely. We're about to get out of this, but I'm going to check because I just realized the chat's not working. So I'm going to just jump on the Restream right here, make sure and see if we have any chats. I don't know if this would jump on and give us the chats that people have given us already. I don't think so because it's saying go live. So I don't think so. So I apologize if you're with us today
And we can't see your chat.
and we haven't seen a chat all
Yeah.
day, which
we'll
is,
answer them after.
yes, we'll respond back. Let's see.
Yeah.
Settings. Sometimes I hit setting and hit stream. I don't understand. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. Anyway, we appreciate everybody today watching us deal with change. And how chaos can lead to wisdom, or how to deal with change, going from chaos to wisdom.
Yeah, problems are good sometimes.
Problems are good, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of times. And we're talked about resilience, adaptability, and problem solving. And
Yeah.
so we would love it if you could put in the chat ways that you have applied these principles in your life or business.
Yes.
And then,
Yeah.
and we
That'd
challenge.
be good. Yeah. Resilience and adaptability, you have to have problems, right?
Yeah,
In
exactly.
order to build your resilience and your adaptability.
So we'll wrap this up by saying challenges are inevitable, but manageable with the right mindset and approach is the key to improving every day, as we say here at Coaching Done Better.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll be on with Tech Tuesday, and we'll see what we're talking about tomorrow. I have no clue. Till
I'll
tomorrow.
see you Wednesday.
Yep.